Say hello to the Blackberry Q10, which offers a larger and more spacious QWERTY keyboard and a fresh infusion of the Blackberry 10.1 operating system. It builds on the greatness of past Blackberry messaging machines, yet blends this with modern smartphone software, powerful enough to run multiple apps at once without skipping a beat. It also surfs websites like a champ and has a battery that goes the distance. Of course, the BlackBerry ecosystem lacks a wide app selection, but the Q10's hybrid approach should satisfy traditional BlackBerry addicts who crave a practical upgrade. Exact pricing and availability aren't locked down, but the Q10 will be sold by AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, and Sprint with a suggested price of $249. Let's start by talking about the design. A deep and luscious all black, the slab-like Q10 has appearance that's all buttoned up and ready for business. If you've used a BlackBerry Bold or even an ancient Curve handset, the BlackBerry Q10 will feel like an old and familiar friend. The Q10 is cut in the same classic flat shape with softly rounded edges that graced other Blackberries. Above the 3.1-inch screen sits a large circular notification light that flashes an angry red to compel you to check your messages. BlackBerry says the Q10's edges are honed from specially treated aluminum, not plastic, though black is designed to withstand scratching and scrapes. On the left side of the phone, you'll find a micro USB port plus a micro HDMI connection to output video to TVs. Running along the right edge is a thin combo volume rocker and play pause key that doubles as a way to activate the Q10's voice command feature. A stainless steel elegant stripe divides the Q10's back. Above it is a small area which holds the phone's 8-megapixel camera and LED flash, and below the stripe is the Q10's battery door, which conceals a 2100 mAh battery, plus slots for micro SD and SIM cards. I definitely like the phone's rubber soft touch coating, which makes it easy to grip and repels fingerprints. Measuring 4.7 inches tall by 2.6 inches wide, the BlackBerry Q10 is shorter and more compact than many of today's big-screened phones. At 0.4 inches thick, the Q10 isn't quite as thin as competing handsets such as the Samsung Galaxy S4 or HTC One. However, a gadget equipped with a full 4 rows of physical keys that's okay. Now, on the subject of the keyboard, let's talk about that. Since the keyboard is the star of the show, it has 4 rows and 35 keys, and the device's QWERTY layout is exceptionally comfortable. There's not much spacing, but the buttons themselves are quite large. In fact, supposedly they're 30% bigger than those on previous models. Now about the display, there's no confusing BlackBerry's tried and true design with that of any other phone maker. One big drawback to relying on physical keys is that there's less room available for the screen. Measuring 3.1 inches, the Q10's display is kind of small compared with the 4.7-inch, 5-inch, and yes, 5.5-inch panels found on top-tier handsets. Now, about the software user interface and features. As a BlackBerry 10 device, the Q10 runs BlackBerry's most advanced operating system. With it comes the BlackBerry Hub, which channels all your messages and alerts into one handy inbox that displays not only the number of incoming messages, but also their subject lines. You can check your hub status by performing the peek feature, essentially drawing an inverted L by dragging your finger up from the bottom of the screen and then to the right. Just like the Z10, the Q10 has the power to access multiple email accounts and social networking services. Unlike other phone software such as HTC's Sense, the BlackBerry 10 doesn't hunt down and suggest links between duplicate accounts with accounts on Facebook, Twitter, and Gmail, which is actually kind of nice, so the phone isn't in your face as much. The BlackBerry Q10 supports Wi-Fi, Bluetooth 4.0, and near-field communication. BlackBerry was kind enough to add a generous supply of social media apps too in the form of Facebook, Twitter, Foursquare, and LinkedIn. Sadly, as with the Z10, the YouTube app isn't really an app at all, but really a way to link to the service's mobile website. A tool BlackBerry calls Instant Actions lets you jump straight into common functions simply by typing commands. For instance, banging out the word tweet with text immediately following will post a Twitter update pronto. Typing the command also pulls up options for selecting your Twitter client of choice. Now about performance. I never would have known that the Blackberry Q10 was powered by a 1.5 GHz dual-core processor and not one of the quad-core processors driving this year's crop of really energetic smartphones. The phone is lively and responsive, smoothly gliding through multiple apps, menus, and browser windows without missing a beat. Now the battery life is okay, but it falls short in comparison to other phones. In our highly controlled battery drain test, the Q10 played video for an impressive 14 hours and 4 minutes before finally calling it quits, but when actually talking to someone over the actual phone, it didn't do quite so well. Now, for the camera is one of our chief complaints about the Z10 was its no-frills camera app, but that phone was the first BlackBerry to pack an imaging system. And the Q10 isn't really much different than the Z10, so nothing much has changed, but the camera is still okay. The Q10 does fall victim to this Z10's faults because there's no way to select an image resolution, and the editing tools are designed mainly for use after a picture has been shot. The phone takes respectable images, but you're not going to want to use this phone as your primary camera or anything. So now about the conclusion. How compelling the BlackBerry Z10 is really hinges on whether you believe that the ideal mobile device needs to be an efficient messaging machine first and a gadget for running apps second. If so, and I admit you're in the minority, the Q10's superb keyboard and messaging handling system makes it a perfect match. Its long battery and comfortable keyboard may be what you've been holding out for, and then the inclusion of BlackBerry 10.1 is extra icing on the cake. Those who want a phone tied to a bigger ecosystem, though, will probably want to go with another phone like the iPhone 5, the Samsung Galaxy S4, or the HTC One. So that's a review of the BlackBerry Q10.